Aaron, the curriculum author behind Let's Cultivate Greatness, and I create ELA and social studies resources for middle and high school teachers and homeschool families. Today I want to give you a peek inside my essay writing workbook. I really designed this to be a full start to finish curriculum for how to write a strong argumentative essay. Once your child, I would say, has a strong foundation in writing paragraphs and maybe has done like one very basic 5-paragraph essay, then they are really ready for this. And so that's why I would say the age range is middle school through high school. And what I really like best about this is that it's really meant to grow with them during those years. So it's not just a one and done, write one essay and you're done with this book, but really I designed it to be a tool to be used over and over again throughout those years. All right, let's take a peek inside. Okay, let's take a look at the table of contents. This really shows how the book is structured. So each of the main stages of writing are broken out into their own chapter. So you have a chapter on the pre-writing portion, researching and developing a specific position, outlining an essay, then the actual steps of writing the essay, and then at the end, revising the essay. And then at the very end of the book, there are several graphic organizers, tools, references that your child will be able to use for any essays, the ones that they write along with this workbook and then future ones. So let's jump ahead to just one sample chapter and you can see how then all of the chapters are structured. And so this is just chapter 3, outlining. So there's an introduction, some objectives that your child will accomplish by the end of the chapter. And so for each chapter or each section of the writing process, there's a handful of different specific skills that they will be practicing. And so for each skill, there is a lesson portion. So in this case, learning about what are the different types of organizational structures, because the way you structure an essay is slightly different depending on the prompt. And so identifying what kind of prompt your child is being asked to write an essay on, and then pairing it with the structure for the essay. And then there is, for each skill, there is then a couple of activities. So in this case, here are some sample thesis statements, and then practicing building out a very rough outline using the examples here. And so practicing what different types of essay structures would be. And then at the end of each skill, then the students will look at these sample essays that are in the back of the book and apply the skill to those sample essays. And then they actually complete that step, that skill, with the essay that they are writing simultaneously while they are going through the workbook. So then you can see you have the next skill with a couple of activities, and then again, the writer's workshop portion out of it. And then at the end of each chapter, there is the skill 14, which is about using technology in the writing process. And so this one is totally optional. It is here. And it's all about how you could use, or your student could use, a large language model, AI, in writing their essay. If that's something that you don't want, you certainly don't have to do it, but it is there and it gives you some tips for how to ethically and effectively use AI to help in the writing process as a writer. And then skill 15, which is all about reflecting. Then at the end of each chapter, there's always some reflection questions. So each chapter is set up that same way. So let's just zoom back to the end of the book where you have then the toolbox of items. So as I was saying, here is a sample basic 5-paragraph essay with works cited, then a more advanced, kind of more high school level essay to use as examples, again with their works cited. A very detailed essay rubric so that you, the parent or teacher, can feel confident about scoring and giving feedback for your child or student's essay. And then some scoring tips on how to do that. One cool thing I threw in here was just a bunch of essay prompts. If your child isn't writing an essay specifically for a class, but you want them to work on practicing writing an essay, here are 25 ideas that they could pick to write an essay on. And then I'll go through this quickly. These are just all the graphic organizers for working through every single step of the process for writing an essay. And so these would be great to photocopy so that you and your child could have them over and over again for every single time that they are writing an essay. So it goes all the way through the brainstorming, the researching, the deciding on a position. Here we see graphic organizers for outlining an essay, and then some tips for revising. And then at the end, just a few extra bonus things in addition with answer keys there at the end. All right, so as you can see, this is really not just a one and done kind of book, but I really designed it to be used over and over again, to reference back to, as well as to use those forms and those templates and graphic organizers over and over again for any future essay that your child would be writing. I'll put the links down below where you can learn more about this book and also where you can purchase. All right, thanks for watching.